Hey, what's poppin'? Niecy Shaw, your midday queen, Niecy Shaw, rocking it out for Linda's Classic R&B Classics 1029. So, Black history is upon us, and it's all great to go down memory lane of what happened then. But what about now? People are making some real big strides and making some new history. Her story, and I'm getting it right now, up close and personal with Casey Cooper. Welcome, Queen.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so that we understand who Casey Cooper is, this woman is probably dominating the female trucking business with federal contracts, government contracts, big. So tell us a little bit about your story. How did you, beautiful as you are, hate to stereotype because a lot of folks be like, well, they're not older because you're a young, beautiful queen. What made you get into the trucking business? And then your business is N.A.C.E. Incorporated.
Correct.
Okay.
So
Tell us about it.
13 years ago, I was about to be married, about to have a baby.
Okay.
And of course, women were forward thinking. I wanted to build wealth for my family.
Right.
So I was like, okay, what can I do? And it just popped in my mind, trucking. And I thought I was going to be able to just put somebody in a truck,
Right.
put them down the road. It did not go like that. I ended up driving for about 6 years off and on. I ended up doing heavy, tall, wide loads and just scaling up to the government. So ever since then, it's just kind of taken on a life of its own.
I love it. And how long have you been in the business?
13 years. I've been contracting for 3 years so now.
Nice. How did you come about, let me get a federal government contract so I can make a better living?
To be honest with you, it was just failing forward. I mean, in business, you have highs, lows, ups, downs. Sometimes I would win. Sometimes I would completely lose.
Right.
But all along, I was hearing about this contract.
Right.
But of course, when you have a truck note that's $2,000 a month, and
right.
Insurance and payroll, going after some enigma is not gonna work. But I took every class I could take. A lot of people don't know in your area you have local resources, state resources for small businesses. They're free.
Right.
So I was getting scholarships to go to business schools to learn about where the money actually is. A lot of times we get in business and we're just getting in business to get in business.
Right.
But where's the pinnacle? Where's the money? I took a 2-week course at George Mason University. This was about 4 years ago.
Okay.
I was the only Black girl, of course, only business owner, but it was mostly all the people that worked for Department of Transportation.
Nice.
So it was continuing their education.
Right.
When people go to build these bridges and tunnels and highways, you're just driving on the road, but you're not thinking all the effort behind the scenes that goes into
takes,
that.
Of course.
So when they go to continue their education, of course they're shown, well, where's the money coming from?
Right.
Of course the money's coming from the federal government. So that's how I learned about federal contracting. And then I just went for it.
And I love that. And how old would you you start without putting all your business out there, that you started in your 30s, 20s?
I started that about 3 years ago, so I was well into my 30s.
Wow, only 3 years?
Yeah, I've only been contracting to the government for 3 years now.
Wow, amazing. And what sets you apart from the rest? Because I know in this industry, being a male-dominated, that's why I really wanted to get her story this time around, because you don't see a lot of female trucking companies and then having government contracts.
Right.
So how, out of the percentage, what would you say, how many are in the business that have government contracts as far as female?
It's very small. It's very small.
First of all, how many female trucking companies are there?
I can tell you this. Approximately, there's only about 170,000 of us federal contractors, period.
Right.
So when you start dicing that number down to woman-owned companies, it gets smaller. You dice that down to African-American women-owned companies, it gets smaller. So there's probably not even 100,000 of us.
Wow. And just to be clear, she is Black-owned and operated female entrepreneur, doing some big things, not just only female trucking company and then also government contracted, but you're trying to also set that template up for other future successful trucking companies and small businesses in general. So let's talk about it. You have a movement.
I do.
And you're wearing it right in front of you, the Compass Circle.
It's called the Compass Circle, that's right.
And what does the Compass Circle entail?
So basically, I teach women-owned and minority companies how to get government contracts.
Okay.
How to get the resources. There are a lot of free resources, like I stated earlier, local, state. I mean, I've gotten, I can't even tell you, probably over $40,000 of things given to me.
Amazing.
Just because there is money set aside for that. But if you don't show up to get it, you don't get it.
And this class is in demand, y'all. By the way, she just visited Atlanta, was here for the weekend, the gathering spot. You ended up with 2 classes when initially it was 1.
I did.
And sell out.
It sold out
and
twice.
So many different walks of life of businesses. What kind of businesses were showing up?
Oh my God, any kind of business. Because I mean, even though my background is in trucking, I tell people all the time, that's just how I got here.
Right.
You can do anything. You can sell the government just about anything. They buy everything. And we do a multitude of things. So I mean, landscaping, real estate, fitness, contracts, food contracts, logistics.
All how to derive
pursue.
it to get a government contract.
Absolutely.
Okay, love that. So you also have a program called the Blueprint
Yes.
Print. Exactly what is that? That's a deep print because it's a blueprint print.
It is. It's actually my mentorship program, and we just teach people how to register with the government, how to get their EIN number, cage codes, DUN
Right.
numbers, stuff that the average person probably doesn't know.
Right.
That's not very complicated. It's free. Of course, it's not free. You know, I don't do it for free.
Right.
But, you know, a DUNS number is free. Cage
Right.
code is free. People
Right.
don't know that. It takes about 10 days to register to do business with the government. People don't know that. So that's just information that we need. I mean, we built this country. Let's be
Right.
clear.
Right.
And small businesses make the world go around. So.
It sure does. I know I used to do a small business for working capital for small businesses, and I had say, boy, this seems like a never ending, like you're
Right.
constantly going to be owing and so forth. So you help small businesses to be self-sufficient.
Yes.
And you're one of the very few women that are not only just leading in the trucking industry, but you're also teaching.
Oh,
I don't think I've heard of any other
I know. I mean, to be honest with
personnel
you,
that does that, to be quite honest.
I'm
You
the
may
only
be making
person.
some history, her
I think
story.
I am here. I mean, even in my, seminars, sometimes I'm like, do y'all not understand? I'm kind of like a unicorn here. Nobody
Right.
else is teaching this stuff that looks like this.
And you're making great income from it
I'm making great income
while
from
you
it
sleep.
while I sleep. And I'm touching people's hearts and minds and their lives. And that's very rewarding for me.
That's
Very
awesome.
rewarding.
So let's share with the audience, what kind of contracts are you getting?
So my first 2 contracts, actually, the government called me up one day and gave them to me. For something I did not even offer at the time. They called me up and offered me 2 snow removal contracts. And of course I was like, oh, yep, I sure can do it. It's not about, with government contracting, it's not about what you can do. It's about
Right.
what you can get done.
Nice.
So I work
Good
a lot
concept.
smarter than, I have previously. My background, of course, is in trucking, but my largest contract to date, I was awarded last year. It's $5.5 million.
Nice.
That's for a transportation for school buses. So even though I grew up doing one thing, it's limitless.
Sky's the limit.
Sky's the limit.
Right. So think outside the box.
Absolutely.
Some quick tips, 3 pointers that you would say if you're getting into a small business like myself. I'm a makeup artist and I'm always looking how to expand it, be a little bit different. What are some quick traits that you would give or tips to someone trying to get into government contracting or getting their business into getting a government contract?
I would say presentation is everything. I mean, I got my first contract. My company was like on one leg.
Right.
Like literally.
Right.
Like I could have been out of business the next week.
Wow.
But my presentation said otherwise. So when I postured myself and I walked in a room and I presented myself and I had all my stuff together, my capability statement and my website
Right.
and my red lip, they could not
It was
deny
everything.
me. It was everything. I mean, a lot of times we don't think we have enough to do whatever
What it
we need to
takes.
do. Right. And we're always, I know what you don't have because I'm
Right.
you and you're me. So
Right.
I don't want to hear what you don't have. But let's talk about what you want.
Right.
Only desired results. I would also say, register in SAMs. Do business with the government. You don't have to, it's not like you have to be active at it every day. They literally called me and offered me my contracts.
Wow.
That can happen to any woman-owned business any day of the week.
Amazing. And I know you're transitioning right now. At this point, you don't even have to bid because you
No.
just set up that
Yeah.
the government calls you.
Yeah, I have a very large certification. It's called the 8A certification.
Right.
It allows the government you get to bypass the bidding process for a project $7 million and less.
Wow.
So, that's like literally that's like a NFL contract.
Right.
You
That's
know?
unheard of, actually.
It is, but it's there. And if you've been in business for 2 years and you can show tax returns and you have a reputable, viable business, you can get that certification.
Interesting. See, that's why I like to just food for thought and dig into history because we can always learn from our ancestors, but what are we doing now? And you're making some great strides, especially for queens in this business in a male-dominated industry. And I could relate being in the radio industry as well. So love that. Where can we follow you and keep up if they want to take classes or see where you're coming to visit next? Because you seem like you're frequenting Atlanta, Queen.
I do. I've been in Atlanta a lot the last 4 months.
Right.
They can find me. My website is www.thecompasscircle.com.
Nice.
You can find me on Instagram. I have a very large following. It's at The Compass Circle. We're on Facebook, The Compass Circle, and on Twitter, Compass Circle.
Well, what's next? What's the next step in 2020, your vision?
More classes, of course. I want to go to Houston next. Houston has a very large truck transportation market.
Okay.
I'll also be in N.A.C.E the week of March the 14th. A lot of us online have gotten together that do trucking.
Okay.
Whether it's box trucks or dump trucks or just trucking in general.
Right.
So I'm being supported in that way. So I'm just going to keep doing it, doing more classes, and just helping more people.
Nice. And let's be clear, it's not just a focal point on trucking. She is helping to enhance and catapult your business in small business as well, correct?
Correct.
So, Casey Cooper, one to look out for. This is her story inside of Black History Month, making strides in a male dominated industry. And look at this beauty. Come on, you can too. Niecy Shaw, broadcasting in our digital studios here at Atlanta's Classic R&B. Classics, what a 29.